Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and councillors. Welcome to the extraordinary full council meeting of Denmead Parish Council at 7:30, Thursday the 4th of September 2025, here in the All Saints Church Hall. Just before we kick into the agenda, just a couple of housekeeping logistics issues. We are not expecting any fire drills or fire alarms, hopefully, but if we do, there is a door to your left, my right, and the door the way that you just came in as well. So hopefully you won't need to use them, but just in case, that's where they are. So just thank you for that. There is also a signing in sheet that's going around the audience members. If you could be kind enough to add your name to that, if you haven't done already, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Sorry?
Could you speak up, please?
Certainly, thank you. Straight into the agenda then. Number one, apologies. Do we have any apologies, Clark?
Yeah, Councillor Jones.
Councillor Jones, thank you.
Can't hear you, sorry. You need to speak up, I can't hear.
Okay, is it better if I stand up? Is that easier?
Yeah.
Okay, right. I'll stand up then if that's okay, until I stop speaking. So apologies was from Councillor Jones. Number two, declarations of interest. Arising from this agenda, excuse me, members and officers are invited to declare any relevant interests. Notwithstanding this item, members may subsequently declare an interest at any point during this meeting. Councillors, do we have any declarations of interest for tonight's meeting, please?
No.
Thank you. Three, Chairman's welcome. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of Denmead Parish Council, held in the Church Hall on the 4th of September 2025 at 7:30 p.m. In welcoming you, I'd like to say a few words. In May of this year, I was elected as chairman. The reason I stood for election was to answer the growing call from within this community for change, to create a parish council that works in public view, that limits discussions behind closed doors and engages in a much more open way with you, the community we are here to serve. Transparency is not just a buzzword. It's a fundamental principle of a democratic council. So I make a promise to you tonight that as your new chair, I will do everything within my power to ensure this council builds bridges and improves relationships with residents and the different groups across our community. I want a parish council that's approachable and demonstrates we listen to your views. The proposed land purchase is a perfect example of how we can reconsider decisions made. The lack of open discussion and consultation has led to a justified anger in the community. Regardless of how the original decision by the council was made, the law allows for rediscussion if 5 councillors believe it's necessary, and that is why we're holding this meeting. I want to thank those councillors for their support in making this happen. As the agenda directs, I will read out the public communication sent out on the 19th of August in just a second. And to add up front, we now know, thanks to the steadfast work of members of the public and of the parish council, that the statement regarding the precept increase of 12.2% is wrong, and that the actual increase was 20.1%. We confirmed this on Friday of last week, and we know how the error occurred. Council now needs to discuss how we make this right, which one way or another we will. I know you'll want answers, and they will come as quickly as possible. We will discuss everything we can in public in order to fix this problem, but we will not discuss any actions related to any council employees in the public, as we have a duty of care to all of our employees. Thank you. I'll now read the comm statement. Oh.
Give that a go.
Does this work?
Yes.
Okay. Stop shouting, Chris.
Speak quite slowly.
There we go. So I'll read out the comms statement that was sent out on the social medias on the 19th of August. I appreciate that many of you may have already had a chance to read it, but I'm also conscious that some of you are not on social media and may not have had a chance. We actually have some hard copies here if people prefer to take it away and read at your leisure. But I will read it out for the benefit of the audience tonight. Denby Parish Council, new burial ground and public open space for the residents of the parish of Denby. Over 20 years ago, the Parish Council identified the need in the longer term for more burial space. This has been a deliverable in our strategy since it was written in 2016 and was reconfirmed in the strategy of 2023 to 2027. Council had hoped to be gifted land near to the current burial ground, which is owned by the Winchester College. We have also requested land rental for 500 years or purchase of land, but it has become apparent in 2014 that the extension to the current burial ground would only happen in exchange for housing development on the land opposite Glasspool, around the allotments and across the Kibble Lane. In addition, the land that has been offered is subject to flooding for large parts of the year and therefore is not suitable for a burial ground. When the land at Ingham's Lane came onto the market, a business case was presented to Council which explained the current situation and the remaining approximately 7-year supply of burial plots within the current burial ground. It detailed potential for creation of a natural burial ground and provision of public open space. Council agreed to enter negotiations with the landowner. The amount for the land purchase is £364,642.50 and has been drawn from money prudently put aside for burial ground purchase and also community building reserves. Denby Parish Council have already applied for a £200,000 of community infrastructure levy from Winchester, and in a meeting with the leader of Winchester City Council and the strategic director place, Winchester City Council confirmed that the burial ground is eligible for CIL, community infrastructure levy, and they were supportive of the application. Chairman of the council, Councillor Chris Ranger, said, whilst the purchase of this land provides a rare opportunity for the council to provide a valuable new burial ground on the edge of the settlement of the village, as well as providing additional space for other purposes, council recognises there may be short-term impact on another project we wish to deliver. As a consequence, 5 councillors, including myself, raised a motion for rediscussion. This discussion will take place on the 4th of September 2025 at 7:30 to be held at All Saints Church Hall, and will be a public session, meaning residents can be present for the whole of the meeting. Additional comments. No public works loan is being used to fund the land purchase. This was discussed as part of the overall council forward strategy. If they should wish to construct a new village hall incorporating parish offices, and was provided as a discussion point on the spreadsheet circulated by the proper officer / responsible finance officer, RFO, for the meeting held on the 21st of May 2025. There is no funding from any councillor being used to fund the land purchase. The cost of this land is classed as agricultural and not development. And as an example of this, Green Meadows is a far smaller site and is currently up for sale for an estimated £2 million. The parish council precept increase was 12.29% on the previous year. The council will, with due diligence and through their budget preparation, always consider projects around the parish, and residents are most welcome to write into the council to make them aware of these. Council will then duly consider the requests within their usual processes at their appropriate committee meetings to be held in September and October 2025. The meetings were held in confidential session due to the sensitive nature of the price negotiation, and until such time these were concluded, Council were unable to provide a relevant update to Denby Community Centre or members of the public. There is no council intention to secure planning permission for a housing development, but planning permission will be required for change of use for a public open space and burial ground. The land north of Amwell Road is owned by Winchester College. Persimmon Builders have a development option and is not available for purchase. A consultation will take place to consider residents' preferences for the use of the open space land purchase. Signed, Parish Clerk. That was the public comms announcement that went out on the 19th of August, 2 weeks ago. Thank you. move on to item 4 of the agenda, the 5 councillor motion. 5 councillor motion to rediscuss the resolution, minute reference 015/26C/2, to purchase the land and seek alternative source of funding for the works at Denmead Community Centre should the SIL Community Infrastructure Levy application be unsuccessful. To discuss and consider the 5 councillor motion, a formal recorded vote will be taken. If the vote is agreed, then we move to item 6 on the agenda. So Councillor Langford-Smith.
Chair, could I ask that a recorded vote is recorded for all of the votes taken this evening, please?
Noted, yes. Thank you. Councillor Carson.
So if I understand correctly from these things,
You have to speak up, sorry.
If I understand correctly from these things, we need to vote to accept the 5 councillor motion.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Can you speak up, please?
I think maybe we'll have to pass
I'll pass
this
the
round
microphone.
and possibly stand. It's like karaoke. I was saying that the 5 councillor motion, which is this part of the agenda, the process is that as council agreed to rediscuss, so we agreed to accept the 5 councillor motion, so we're going to vote on that now. That's what it'll be.
Thank you, Councillor Carson. So
So all those in favour?
councillors in favour of the 5 councillor motion to rediscuss the resolution, minute reference 01526C, to purchase the land and seek alternative sources of funding for the works of the DCC should the SIL application be unsuccessful. Can I have a vote?
I've not seen 5 councillor motion. It wasn't circulated.
I think it was. We have here. Just going to pass that round to Councillor Brown.
It should be circulated to all councillors.
I think of the other councillors.
I haven't seen it either, Chair.
So this one.
Very professional.
No idea who sent it. It's about the Chris, because he ain't next to you.
I don't think anything on that. Not what's
Tell one of them anyway. It's never next, it's just signatures.
Has Tony seen it?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Just pass it.
Have you seen it, David? Have you seen it?
So apologies for that. Looks like that there was a couple of copies that were missing around there, but it would appear that it did go out and it's been seen by the majority of the councillors. Is that correct now? And all the councillors here present, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Can I have a show of hands, please, to recommend that we move to the 5 councillor motion for item 4 on the agenda? Who's in favour?
You keep your hands up.
Just keeping our hands up for the clerk to make
Joe,
note.
Joe, you need to say the names for the recording.
Beg your pardon, for the recording vote.
Joe,
So,
So we've
those,
got Councillor Carson, Councillor Vickers, Councillor Stallard, Councillor Clay, Councillor Bevan, and Councillor Berry, and Councillor Ranger.
those are the ones that are in favour. Can I have a show of hands for those against the 5 councillor motion, please?
So we've got Councillor Brown, Councillor Stoley, Councillor Langford-Smith.
Thank you. And any abstaining?
Councillor Androli.
Thank you. Okay, so clerk, can we just have a recap, please?
Yeah, so we've got a vote for Councillor Clay, Councillor Carson, Councillor Vickers, Councillor Stallard, Councillor Clay, Councillor Bevan, Councillor Berry, Councillor Ranger, Against, Councillor Langford Smith, Councillor Brown and Councillor Scoley, and abstained is Councillor Andreoli.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. On that basis, we move from the 5 councillor motion, and now we move into section 5, or item 5 of the agenda, which is the public participation. Little different, I think. For those of you that have been to a Denley Parish Council meeting in the past, you'll know that it's typically limited to a 15-minute slot with an option to extend by the chairman's decision alongst with other councillors to make sure that we're okay to extend accordingly. I don't know how long this session will take. The whole idea of it being a public session is to have as many of you answer your questions or raise your questions and comments accordingly regarding the topic in hand. So, providing the question, and we can pass the mic around if it makes it easier for everybody, I think might be the idea. We'll see how far we go and we'll take it from there, okay? So, Councillor Langford Smith.
Sorry, just before we actually go into the public session, I think it might be helpful if I summarised how we got.
Sorry, you're not used to a microphone. Sorry, let me just pass the mic.
This is the public session. Just before we go into the public session, I think it might be helpful if I do a summary.
Point of order,
as to how we got to where we are.
Point of order, Chairman.
Councillor Langford Smith, sorry, just there is a point that we are in the public session, so.
We are in the public
So,
session.
The agenda item, the agenda, point of order.
Sorry, I just thought that it might actually
Point of order, Chairman.
Let's have the questions first.
Would you like the microphone passed around?
Yeah, I'm going to pass it to the question. Yeah, whoever's on the front.
Do you want me to go around a bit?
Thank you, Christian. We're going to pass the mic round to the members of the public that want to ask questions or comments. So Christine's going to pass it around.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Fantastic. Okay. So, thank you, Chair. This is a request for recusal due to conflicts of interest. In accordance with the Denley Parish Council Code of Conduct, I respectfully request that Councillors Paula Langford Smith and Ian Brown recuse themselves from any discussion or decision making on the proposed burial ground land purchase on the following grounds. Firstly, personal relationship with the landowner. Councillor Langford Smith has a working relationship with the landowner Neil Cutler, both of whom are Winchester City councillors, and both Langford Smith and her husband, Councillor Ian Brown, I believe, are friends. Under this code, this constitutes a personal interest if the relationship could reasonably be perceived by the public as compromising impartiality.
Excuse me, just 1 second. Can we have respect, please, while the speakers or while the members of the public are talking? Everybody will have an opportunity to add comment or questions afterwards, but as per speaker, just a little respect, please, as we're going through. Thank you.
Proximity of the land to their residence. The land in question is near the councillor's home, only 200 metres away around the corner, raising a beneficial interest in land as defined by the code. This proximity may directly impact the property's value and living environment, necessitating a declaration of interest. Stated motions to prevent development. At the end of the last meeting, a neighbour and declared friend of the councillor stated that Councillor Langford Smith has taken this move to prevent encampments of travellers on the land. This constitutes a prejudicial interest, as it suggests a personal benefit and raises concerns about using public office for private advantage. Whether or not this is the case, it undermines public trust. Given these factors, and in line with the Code's principle of integrity, transparency, and public trust, I ask that the councillors formally declare their interests in this matter, withdraw from all related discussions and votes, as in line with any other conflict of interest, leave the room during any debate on the issue. This request is made to uphold the integrity of the council decision-making process and maintain public confidence. Failure to engage, to recognise these interests is concerning if they're not recognised and the councillors be aware that failure to recuse when they should do so has significant consequences. Thank you.
Sorry, just one. I need to interject. So we have a. Yeah, you can speak first, sir, and then we'll pass it to Councillor Brown. Mr. Public speaking, I appreciate that, but the public speak first, and then we'll have a chance to respond.
Right. Sorry. Kevin, a lot of what you said is I haven't got any friends in here, so I'm just speaking very openly. I own the 2 Innings Lane. I am disappointed that there's going to be a burial directly where I'm living. Myself, I've gone through 18 months of trying to get my bill through planning permission, lots of steps to get to a point where I'm rejected, and then I find out that potentially there's going to be a burial that has been purchased, and the stages that everyone seems to go through. And the fact that it's been purchased, it seems to me that there's not going to be any discussion. It's looking that it's going to happen. For myself, I bought a property to develop and live there for the foreseeable future for my family. What's going on in front of us is that my property will devalue. I've got lots of information going around and getting advice moving forwards. You know, people like myself are just trying to better myself. But when this happens, where does it leave me? You don't take in consideration about the people who actually live down that road. I stand corrected. This section that you bought, is it separated in 4 sections? The actual land is separated into 4 sections, and I understand it's the 2 middle sections. What I don't understand is why can it be further 2 ends? Because that whole road, and I know the whole road floods, and so do them fields massively. So it doesn't matter what part of each land. I just don't understand why it couldn't be further down the road. We can go on and on and on. Like myself standing here, I live down that road. I emphasise this. And what's going on in front of me, it disappoints me because potentially you are devaluing my property. I know there is one lady at the end of my road, Judith, wants to speak out loud too, because she was down there. And I just think that people need to know that things change, and I understand that. But moving forwards, hopefully you can listen to people like myself who actually live down that road. That road's going to become very, very busy. I've got children that play down in the actual grass outside the front around. Yes, they are safe, but that road will become a lot busier, and that's something that needs to be looked at. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for your comments. Just before I hand the mic to other members of the public, just one point of clarification. The land is actually not being purchased today. Just a point of reference. It has not been purchased today. I'm going to ask other members of the public. There's a gentleman there. Oh, sorry. Could you? Sorry. There was a man with a question.
Thanks.
Chairman, councillors, members of the public.
Respect, please.
Chairman, councillors, members of the public. This meeting is a pivotal moment for our community, and I want to start by commending our new chairman for his courage in bringing this matter out into the open. Your pledge of transparency. Your pledge of transparency and bringing the community back into the discussion is very pleasing to hear. For far too long, this parish council has operated under a cloud of secrecy, using confidentiality as an excuse to hide critical decisions from the very people it is meant to serve. This proposed land purchase is a prime example of this. It cannot be allowed to proceed at this time until this council is in a position to answer all of our questions, such as, Has there been a proper investigation into how many years are left before the current cemetery is full? What options are there in terms of other land available? Has the land chosen been properly assessed? If not, it should be, as it has a stream running through it, and I believe it may be partly in a flood zone. How can we afford it? And what will the consequences be on other projects that will suffer as a result of moving funds? Will other projects have to be shelved, or will additional monies be required by hiking our council tax again? All of this needs to be properly investigated and debated if you decide after this meeting we still need to buy land and the meeting's adjourned. I suggest that a steering group is set up if you must proceed with this. And I want to put down a clear marker. Neither Councillor Brown nor Councillor Langford-Smith should be allowed to be on that steering group for the reasons eloquently put by Cathy Saville this evening. In fact, both of them should do more than withdraw on the issue. Actually, they should resign altogether. Their conduct has been shameful and absolute disgrace. Councillor Brown, your recent tirade on Facebook was quite astonishing. You attacked everyone who voted for Councillor Bevan and called them a bunch of hypocrites. Extraordinary conduct from the council. You publicly made a personal attack on the new chair and vice chair, full of misleading statements. Clear breaches of the code of conduct and the Nolan principles that you clearly have no interest in complying with.
Chair.
You haven't even had the decency to respond to the recent posts calling for your resignation, which of course you must.
So,
I thought this was actually about land purchase and not a personal attack on the South End Councillor Langford Smith. If you wish it to carry on, that's fine.
Can you stop just slagging off the council?
You already didn't have your say prior to that, and I responded once.
excuse me. So,
It's not a discussion, it's slagging off the council with facts that
So
are
can
not
I- can we-
facts, right.
excuse me, this is a discussion about land purchase. Make sure that the public are referring to the subject in matter, the land purchase only, and not in terms of anything other than land purchase, please.
I also note the comments of one resident who responded to the Facebook post calling for your resignation, who after saying in his
Sorry, I need to go back to the land purchase only. Unless there's anything else on land purchase, I suggest we pass the mic on to somebody else, please, sir.
Okay, the council cannot function when two of its members are
Broken record.
I would say my daughter is very good and I do not wish
So,
village cemetery fragment.
thank you. Yeah. Excuse me, just before you speak, madam, sorry, just 1 second. It's emotional, I appreciate that. There's a lot of people in the room. The topic on the agenda is only the land purchase. That's the only topic. There's nothing about Facebooks and or references about what was said and what wasn't said, etc. Unless it's something to do specifically with the land purchase, please, can we keep it to the agenda? If not, it will be the chair's decision as to how we end the meeting abruptly. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've just got back literally about half an hour ago today. So this is I want to attend this meeting. First of all, may I declare that I have an interest. I know Neil Cutler, and I also live in Gillies Lane. I've been a long time in this village and I've served on this council. And others will know that I've served as a Winchester councillor. But what I want to say to you tonight is that whether or not you like what is going on, you talk about, I'm absolutely horrified at some of the speeches that have been made of personal attacks on councillors. It's disgraceful. And what is more, I would say this, I've seen many councillors come and go. And I've seen councillors that come on.
We're talking about the land.
And we are going to get to the land. And I would say this to you, that the reason I'm asking here is that councillors come on either to do what is best for the village, and I'm expecting all of you to be doing exactly that while you're here, or they come on because they have got a personal agenda themselves. Well, let me tell you, I'm not going to defend any councillor here. You all know why you're on this committee. What you failed to say, Chair, is what are those other projects that are in the pipeline that are put alongside and are being considered with this burial ground? Because let me tell you something here, every one of you is going to die. And your family will want to be putting somebody in the grave and probably want to be in dead men. But let me say, you told us that there's possibly 7 years left. Somebody asked there, has anything been done to check whether there's 7 years left? But you correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand if that land were purchased now, I believe there is some time where the land has to lay fallow. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think it has to lay fallow for maybe 10 years. Now, what are you going to do if there is no land available to buy in the area? Winchester College will not sell it, and the majority of other people will not sell it because they want to make mega bucks on housing. So let me say now, what plans and what plan B have you got if you cannot get any other land and it has to lay fallow for a period of 10 years, and you're going to run out of graves and anywhere to bury somebody in 7 years? Now, if you can tell me what your plan B is, then fine. But if you can't, I think you're being rather silly to throw out the baby and the bathwater because you happen to have a gripe against 2 other councillors. And you think it hasn't been done. Transparency. And I think if any of you would like to tell me what those other projects are, so the people of Denmead can decide whether burying their mums and dads, aunts and uncles and even children takes priority over perhaps a new skate park, I don't know, a new office. Maybe that's what you want. But whatever it is, please do tell us what the priorities are. Thank you.
Thank you. The lady on the... Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. And I would just like to contribute at this point, just to talk about the current burial ground as it stands. I've been in the village now nearly 9 years. Before I arrived in 2015, we had just started to use that final section of land across the back of the burial ground. And in this time, we've only used about a quarter of that space. That's for both burial and cremation. And so, as I look at the land, and I appreciate, I don't know how many of us are going to die in the next 20, 30 years, but based on our current usage and on the national usage, that about 70% of people are now cremated and not buried. So yes, we need space for both burials and cremations there, but if you were to survey across the whole of that land, I think we've got another 20, 25 years. And I would stick by that. Yeah. So yes, space is running out. From my point of view, as I see it, yes, space is running out, and we do need to be thinking ahead and making plans and weighing that up alongside other projects. But we're not about to run out of land in the next 6 or 7 years. Or I truly hope not. If we do, something will happen here in the village.
Thank you. Firstly, I will say thank you to all councillors. It is appreciated that you're all volunteers and you're all here because you want to be. And it's a shame that some might regard personal attacks. But at the end of the day, you signed the code of conduct, you signed to declare to be part of this council. Therefore, you put yourself up to public scrutiny. If you don't like the public having an opinion on your actions from recorded minutes, then, don't be on the council. On the land purchase decision, I believe that the 5 councillor motion to rediscuss the matter is the right one and that they are acting in the public interest. Quite frankly, the behaviour of some members has been shocking. Putting aside the suitability of the land itself being in the flood zone and many more hundreds of thousands of pounds it will take to realise this land as a meaningful space, all 18 acres of it, which is surely not all going to be for burial grounds, you expose your ulterior motives, which have not been publicly declared, or what your intentions are for the land. The main issue I want to raise, though, is about the lack of integrity and transparency of the council's original decision. I do refer to all members of council. In the face, also, of glaringly obvious conflicts of interest. We were told that the land purchase decision was made by majority vote by full council in May. But the public records show, and this is not an attack, this is a reflection of the public record, shows that only 4 councillors predetermined that the decision to make funds available was in March. It took 5 months to publish minutes from that financial meeting, and they were only made available when I pointed out to council that they were missing. What were you trying to hide? I have since had time to review what that meeting said, and it confirms some apparent bias in your decision making. The conversation started with the chair, Councillor Langford-Smith, asking the council to consider: do we want to reinvest the funds, or do we wish to withdraw them? In response, Councillor Brown replied, "Well, the idea is we are looking to purchase the land, isn't it, Councillor Langford-Smith?" It is. That is a resolution of council. That is an incorrect statement. You've already told the public that you made the decision as full council to purchase this land in May. Yet here you are in March saying it was a resolution of council to buy this land. Therefore, you are making a predetermined decision and action that this decision was a foregone conclusion. Above that, I do have to echo the concerns raised because it is in your public interest record that you are a Winchester District Council. I've checked with the Democratic Officer Manager, and he said every time you get involved with any business connected to another Winchester City Councillor, you must declare your interest to council. Now, there's no public record that you declared your connection to Neil Cutler. There might be a reason for that. You might have got dispensation from council. I don't know, because the reason is confidential. However, that is what the rules say you must do. And that's not a personal attack. That is just to protect yourself, to say, do you know what? I know that landowner. I do work with him as a colleague. I've known him for many years. It is not appropriate for me to leave this decision to use public money to buy that other councillor's land. There's no way that makes any ethical or moral sense. And I know you're also personally invested in this decision, Councillor Langford-Smith, because you are the only person that attended my home address using your privileged position of council. You only know my address as a councillor.
I'm afraid, Chair.
No, I've got to see it.
Sorry,
It was about the land. She posted these documents about the land through my door, trying to change to shut up.
Speaker, excuse me. Land purchase only, no personal attacks. Just keep to the facts, please.
That is fact. Anyway, you would have to answer that through the misconduct process. So, lastly, I will just say, if you're not going to withdraw yourself, then there's many of us within the village. Also, the letter you posted was signed Chris, so that just shows how dishonest you are. And you are on CTV and I'll publish that on Facebook. But you'll probably not get blocked because you're moderating the page. So lastly, to council, I would say this: the whole behaviour undermines the very foundation of our council's principles of fairness and transparency. Your behaviour has brought this council to dispute. It's not me, as a taxpayer, wanting to know what you do with our money. And therefore, I urge you to reflect on these concerns and consider whether this is an appropriate decision to buy this land here.
just before the next speaker, please, just to reiterate, because we don't want personal attacks, right or wrong. It's about the land purchase specifically. It's land purchase discussion. That was the agenda item. That's what we're discussing. That's it. Any personal attacks, I'll either cut the public participation short and we'll go to the vote, or we'll ask you to move the mic to somebody else, please. Just civility and respect at all times. Thank you.
Chair and Council and ladies and gentlemen, this is not to be a personal attack, it's purely practical. Both the Chair and about 4 of the speakers tonight have mentioned about how wet it is down in Innes Lane. Being involved with the DCC, the community centre, we use it as a car park occasionally, and I've attended many events there. And for 6 months of the year, you can't drive a car in there. It is not allowed. Have you undertaken a hydrology report on the ground before agreeing to purchase it? You don't buy a house and complete on it without having a structural survey. And if you look at the rules under the Environment Agency for where you set up a cemetery, there has to be 1 metre, the coffin has to be 1 metre above the highest anticipated annual ground level, which means that as the coffin is 6 feet down, you're going to have to build 6 feet above and put it on top. And it just doesn't make sense. I don't know, we're going to waste our money buying that and then get planning permission refused. And then you've got to wait 10 years and nobody will buy it if it's waterlogged. So I don't really waste the money.
I'd like to raise my concerns on the long-term affordability of that. In your public communication release, you claim that the council have been financially prudent. Looking at the budgets and audited accounts, I disagree with this. For example, you were £29,850.82 over budget on amenities last financial year. You were £21,434.99 over budget on amenities staff salaries. You budgeted £7,000 for machinery maintenance, yet spent £14,667.86. You budgeted £2,000 for fuel for ground staff vehicles, but spent £6,314.64. These are just a couple of examples from your audited accounts from last year which show your inability to budget. This is anything but financially prudent. In confidential sessions in September, you discussed staff bonuses. In May, you agreed that replacement metal detectors be purchased with the condition the grounds team does not use in a work capacity, then had to spend more taxpayers' money to reinstate Kidmore Field after they damaged it. Almost £100 was spent on staff Christmas nibbles. These are not the actions of a financially prudent council. Your public statement acknowledges the land purchase will have financial impacts on other projects. Is it prudent for projects that the community would benefit from now to suffer for land you don't even know that's going to be suitable to use as burial grounds? 18 acres is too much for burial grounds alone and will be a long-term financial burden for the taxpayer. The council can't even afford to maintain the current recreational spaces. Millcoast Park has been closed all summer. There's no swings at the main park. The Bowling Green Park is closed. The running track is cracked and crumbling. The Greenway is in a state of disrepair in various places. It doesn't make sense to burden the village with a further 18 acres that will have to sit dormant for 10 years. The council do need to become more financially prudent and stop the attitude of whack it on the precept, as there's only so much the precept will cover. And also, in response to somebody saying that everyone in this room is going to die, we are. And I think we need to look at more sustainable options. So what are we going to do? Just keep buying every spare bit of land in the village to turn it into a burial ground? That's not sustainable.
Thank you
So
for your comment.
that's what it is.
Good evening, Chairman. I've been sat here listening
Could you use the mic? Sorry, sir.
I thought I'd allowed enough voices and calls. I was the last person present who actually negotiated the new Northfield burial ground. And our vicar at the time, John Herclot, bless him, said we had 20 years left in the old burial ground. We actually purchased, that is, Denmead, purchased the old burial ground, the Northfield burial ground, and I think it was about 1925, because Winchester College wanted to make an exchange of land. To bring that land into service, even though it had been left barren for many, many years, we actually went into using it earlier than Reverend John actually said we would. Why? Because the community is growing. Yes, ash is becoming more effective to implant, but at the end of the day, we will need a burial ground. And the reason I say that is because haven't, for the last 18 years, I've been trying to get new burial grounds. Waterlogging up in the Newlands estate was one of the major problems of the identified space up there. Haven't I had to go back to this idea, even though it is directly behind the roads. With regards to personal interests, when it comes to a village, parish councils have a slightly different or disadvantage in a sense. And that is that everybody on the council lives close. They're going to. It's a parish council. Winchester is different. And as far as knowing Neil Cutler, I knew Neil Cutler. I think half the village knows Neil Cutler. So does that automatically exempt them from the council fund spend money though?
I think it was spent.
When I was the chairman of the council, we purchased the land known as Goodman's Fields. That was done not so much undercover, but because if it had been known that a parish council was looking for land, the price would escalate. And that is the problem. The price will escalate. I think it's a bit of a problem also. There are a few new councillors who have a very poor attendance figure over the last couple of years. What has changed in just a short space of time?
What's changed is your neighbours lost all control and you don't like it.
So, thank you. Move on. Move on. Next speaker, please. Sorry, just move on to the next speaker, please. If you move the microphone, thank you. Sorry.
Good evening, everybody. Can I just ask one question? In page 2, the parish council approached the landowner, or did the landowner approach the parish council to sell the land? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. There's a lady. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry.
No.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can now.
Earlier on, Councillor, you mentioned that Winchester College would give us the land for the burial if option 3 was agreed to. Obviously, that didn't happen, but in 2014, they stated to Winchester County Council that they wouldn't have a problem donating the land north of the cemetery currently if they got planning permission for the land east of Carpenter's Field, which appears to be the plot of land that's going to get developed. So why isn't the council the parish council negotiating with Mr. Collins and say, well, you've got what you wanted, now give us a loan.
Thank you for the question. We'll come back. The councillors will have a chance to respond to some of the questions in a short while when we finish the public participation. Thank you for the question, sir.
Good evening. Hopefully I am able to this meeting. I'm not a resident of Daily, but I am your sister. And I would like to say that the land is owned in trust for all of his siblings, and it was on the open market from the beginning of last year. So I haven't got anything else to say about that, but I really would hope that you would respect the fact that it was on the open market. Neil isn't the sole landowner, and he doesn't make the decision on who buys it. It's a purely commercial purchase.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Councillor Karen Abercrombie from City Council. I just wanted to clarify a few things with regards to calling for declaring prejudicial and pecuniary interest. Nobody has any right to tell any member of any council to do that. That's solely based on the person who decides whether they have an interest. And then if they don't declare something, then that can be taken to standards. So nobody has any right to call that out. I just wanted to clarify that. With regards to the decision being made behind closed doors, I think there's a misunderstanding. All commercial purchases have to be done behind closed doors. As previously mentioned, price increases, someone might go forward and gazump it. So all commercially sensitive conversations do happen in exempt business, and that's through every local government body across the country. So it's not to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, it's just a commercial basis reason for it, for that exempt. With regards to the whether the land's needed in 20 years, as Emma said, or whether it's needed in 7, it would be useful, I think, for us all to see sort of evidence for that, so that if they're within business cases, so everybody has full transparency, can see the study that happened and understand which one's correct, because there's clearly a difference of opinion there. So has there actually been a study on that? I think that would be useful for us all to see. But I want to say that I think the personal attacks actually take away from the focus of what this meeting is about, the decisions being made. And I hope that the decisions made solely based for the right reasons and not for personal reasons.
Agreed. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the public before? Oh, beg your pardon, there's a couple of hands went up there, sorry.
Good evening. I just want to understand why you were looking to purchase 15 acres of land. It's not 18, because half of lot 3, 3 acres of lot 3 have been sold to include lot 4 already. So if you only need 15, then why do you need 15 acres? And what are the other purposes? You say in the leaflet you put out that you were talking about a new village hall. Why does there need to be a new village hall? I think that's spurious misinformation. Surely our current graveyard is only about 3 acres. We would probably only need 4 or 5 to cover the increasing numbers for the future.
Thank you. There was one other question, I think, that the lady with the striped top. Oh, sorry, there's a couple, sorry.
Hello, I just want to know, has there been any comparison in the likelihood of drainage of the land at Inns compared to the extension of the existing burial ground, which is the land on offer from Winchester? Because I understand that the flood risk is lower on that piece of land that was offered than it is on the land in Evans. And I also agree, having seen that 2014 document, that the exchange was what is now option 2. That was the agreement originally.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and councillors for the opportunity to speak. As a resident, I support the principle of purchasing this land for burial ground, provided, of course, that it is suitable. Recognising in the 2016 Parish Council Strategy and Denmead Neighbourhood Plan that we are, as I'm sure we're all aware, that there is no other suitable site available for burial use. I would like to clarify that from Parish Council's own accounts, it appears that 135,000 is earmarked for the burial ground, but only about 2/3 of this is visible in the dedicated burial ground accounts. Denmead Parish share of SIL for 2023-24 was about 16,500. That is far less than the 62,800 income line attributed to Tanners Lane, which matched expenditure on the Mugger project. Was this income parish SIL a Section 106 development contribution or from another source? If it was S106, then spending on it on the Mugger is correct. But clarity matters because the distinction affects how much is actually in the SIL pot for this land purchase. It is also a statutory requirement for parish councils to publish an annual SIL report. The last one on the parish council's website is for 2019/20, showing nearly 200,000 being retained at that time and no expenditure apparently recorded. Nothing has been published since 2021, right through to the present day. This is a clear breach of the regulation, and it underlines where residents may have lost confidence in the financial information being provided. It also appears that some funding commitments at the community centre may have been made in good faith, but without fully considering the overall financial position. Unless those works are truly urgent, and if they are primarily for council offices, I would question whether they fall into that category. Surely burial provision as a neighbourhood plan policy and to address open space requirements must take precedence. Residents should not have to decode accounts and cross-reference to understand the financial position. What matters is whether there are sufficient funds to purchase this land, whether at the same time the council can also afford proposed works, say at the community centre, or maybe both, while maintaining its other obligations. Clear reporting of SIL receipts and earmarked reserves is the only way residents can have confidence that these projects can be delivered without overcommitment. Finally, the site itself, at around 20 hectares, with a purchase price, as we've heard, of about 360,000, which is in line with agricultural land values, represents a major strategic acquisition. Securing land on this scale not only provides for burial needs for many decades, but also helps address the recognised shortfall in open space provision under the neighbourhood plan, therefore offers a wider community benefit. As a resident, I support the principle of this land purchase, but only if it is carried forward in a way that is transparent, consistent, and financially secure.
Thank you. got.
Hi there, I just wanted to understand what the consequences are of buying the land and what other projects will be neglected or postponed because there isn't sufficient funds. So for example, the development of the community centre, what would happen to that if the funds is allocated to buying the land, which we may or may not need for another 20 years, what will happen to the community centre in that time?
Thank you for the question. I think that's all the questions. Last final call for questions before I close the public participation session. I'll now close the public participation session. Thank you very much indeed for all your comments. We'll now move, excuse me, before we move, beg your pardon, to item 6, I hope you can still hear me. I would ask the councillors to have any feedback or response to any of the particular questions or comments raised. So Councillor Carson, then Councillor Langford-Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. I just would like to ask Reverend Bernard. So we as a council and residents, we've heard a sort of sliding scale from 5 years burial ground space left to 7/8. To hear you tonight say it potentially 25. Has anybody from council at any point asked you, who are much closer to burial ground usage than me, for instance, has anybody actually asked your view previously? You don't have to answer, I just wanted to ask that question.
Yeah. Even though the public participation session is shut, I'm happy to open it on this basis to answer the specific questions, please.
No, it's not something that's ever been brought to my attention or been asked about. No.
Thank you. Okay, other councillors, any other questions or comments regarding feedback from the public receiving, please? Councillor Langford-Smith.
Thank you. So I will try and answer some of the questions that were asked this evening. First of all, with regards to the personal relationship with Neil Cutler and being friends, I sit on the same councillor as him in Winchester. I do not know the man personally in any capacity at all. We have never been to social functions or anything at all. I have no more of a relationship with Neil Cutler than I do with Danny Spallard, for example. That's the long and the short of it. With regards to who approached the parish, was it the parish that approached Mr. Cutler or Mr. Cutler approaching the parish? The parish approached Mr. Cutler. We have been looking for burial ground to increase the burial ground or burial ground capacity for many years. We have advertised in Denmead Scene to ask people to bring land to us to consider for purchase. That has not been successful. Somebody asked the question about using the land east of Carpenters in exchange for burial ground. It's a different land agent, so Persimmon have the option on the land east of Carpenters, and who is it that's got the option on Glasspool? Hallam Land have the option on Glasspool. So that would mean Persimmon getting the building and Hallam Land giving up some of their land. They're not going to do that. Hallam have the option on the burial ground land. Consequences of other projects and a new hall. So it was my vision when I was chair of council. It's been in the council strategy since 2016. That's published on the website. Council strategy was developed by everyone that was on council. It was revisited in 2019 and again in 2023. So that is our current strategy until it's revisited again. And the plan was to build a new hall to replace the annex at the community centre. because the annex is well past its sell-by date and is a very, very valuable facility at the community centre. I think at one point they said that they couldn't survive without the income from that. So that was the purpose of a new hall, to be replacing the annex. What else was there? Oh, predetermination of the purchase by 4 councillors. So the business case originally came to council in January, and a fund that we've been investing for years matured in March. In March, council had already voted unanimously in January to investigate the options for purchasing the land. And so when the bond matured in March, council decided, well, Finance Admin Personnel Committee decided not to reinvest, because if we were pursuing a land purchase, then obviously we needed the funds to be available. So it just simply wasn't reinvested because the bond had matured. So that answers that one. Which else was there? Long-term affordability. Yeah, I mean, council has been saying the burial ground is self-funding and the money is not used for anything else. It is literally been saved for land purchase. What we have been trying to do to ensure that we have long-term, or as long as possible, in burial ground, is we have stopped people reserving plots. So if you've got a plot booked, you can keep renewing that, but we're not taking any new bookings. So if you want a plot, you just have to wait and see if there's one available. We're not allowing reservations. We've also increased the price so that non-residents cannot, well, non-residents, I think actually I'm correct in saying it's double the price for residents, and that's triple. So that is to try and deter people from using the burial ground. It is a very beautiful burial ground, and people really do think that it's a tranquil place and want to be buried there. But in order to deter non-residents, we have actually tripled the price to try and deter it, to make sure that we've got as much land as possible for as long as possible. I did write the original business case, and it went to council in January. The resolution was unanimous that we would look into investigating options. I'm happy for that report to be published, if the chair is happy for that report to be published. It's not the first time that I've written a report when a project is outside of normal council activities, such as offering sponsorship opportunities on roundabouts, or investing in a long-term project, such as the refurbishment of the finger posts and fiddle rings. I write a report so that councillors can consider everything in the round. So it's not unusual for me to write a report. In February, County Councillor Stallard and myself met with the leader of Winchester and the strategic director of PLACE, and we presented the report to them. They advised us to submit the report and a funding application for community infrastructure levy. That was done. I applied for £200,000 of community infrastructure levy. They confirmed that they were in full support of the project, and that was reported back to council at the February meeting. On the 18th of February, I wrote to Winchester to ask if any declarations of interest needed to be made. Have the memo here. And I said, in order to be completely open and transparent, whilst appreciating the matter is highly confidential, I advise the parish council understands the land is owned by a family trust and that Neil Cutler, a local farmer of Winchester City Council, is a family member and executive trustee. Please advise if there are any further declarations that we need to make. So, declaration was made. In March, I wrote a memo to full council to advise that Winchester were not able to do a separate round of funding outside of the normal, there's a bidding process for SIL, and they were looking into whether or not they could do a separate earlier fund. They wrote to say that they couldn't, so I put that on the next full council in April. And it was unanimously agreed at the next full council to ask the finance officer to consider alternative funding options. All of our minutes have got the summary about the land purchase. The land purchase has been in our strategy, as I said, from 2016. It's also in the neighbourhood plan. It's not that it's been hidden. The only part that has not been in the public domain is the price negotiations. As people have said, it's commercially sensitive. The price would have gone through the roof. Land does not come up for sale very often. So when this land came up, I thought it was a good opportunity. The parish has significant shortfall in open space. We probably only need 3 or 4, maybe 5 hectares for burial ground, but we've got 19.4 hectares of open space, and we're supposed to have 27.81 hectares for the head of population that we have. So this land was an ideal opportunity to provide burial ground and public open space. And the plan was that we would hold open weekends and people could come and plant trees. We've got trees being delivered already. So families could come at weekends and help with planting. Once the planting scheme had been agreed, there could be play facilities, etc., etc. So when council voted in May, the finance officer's report came to council, and the finance officer said that we had 384,000 that was potentially available for spend. Some of the funds were from refurbishing the parish offices, but the discussion at council was that rather than spend it on parish offices at this time, because land does not come up for sale very often, that we would divert the funds from the community buildings on a temporary basis to purchase the land. So, and at that point, I did a still application for £200,000, which would then replenish the community buildings fund. Council agreed 9 votes in favour and 2 abstentions, so there were no votes against progressing the purchase of the land. So Councillor Ranger at that point asked me to assist him in the negotiations of the purchase through the clerk with the land agent. And again, the summary of that is in the public minutes. Negotiations concluded at the end of July, and the price agreed for the 2 plots was £364,642, which was £20,000 under the maximum ceiling that council agreed was the negotiation ceiling. The exchange of contracts is agreed for the 15th of September, so it hasn't taken place yet. It's my belief that this is a good purchase for the council. I appreciate that not everybody agrees that, but the land purchase has been in our strategy since 2016 and in the neighbourhood plan before that. We have been saving for years because we know that we are going to run out of space. No other projects need to be stopped to enable us to deliver this for the village. We do not need to take out any loans, and agricultural land rarely becomes available to purchase in Devley. Any land that comes up for sale is for building plots or housing, not for agricultural purchase. The only other land that became available that I did look into was up on Hambledon Road on the right-hand side, but that's actually outside of the parish boundary and it's in the National Park, so that was not an option. I'm still firmly of the view that this council made the right decision in agreeing to purchase the land. Thank you, Chris.
Councillor Vickers, I think, and then Councillor Andrew.
Hello, I'd like to just speak about the narrative that goes on about the 5 councillor motion. So I am very proud of the 5 councillor motion. I was part of the 5 councillor motion. I was equally responsible for I voted for it in May. So I sit on both sides, but after a period of time, I wanted to reflect on my decision, and I wanted to reflect on how it was going ahead, how it was in the community facility. We needed to discuss it. So I just want to be really clear with you all that it was a brave decision to go for a 5 councillor motion, because we wanted it in the public domain. So I just want to be really clear that that is said by me, who was one of the people that signed it. I also want to make a commentary about the seal. Although seal there's a reference to it, everybody talks about it like it's a given, it hasn't come through yet. It isn't a given. So I want that to be very clearly said. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Could you pass it to Councillor Andreoli, please, Councillor Vickers? Then Councillor Carson.
I'd just like to come back on one or two of the things about firstly the addition to the current burial ground, which I've been in discussion with Helen Land regarding the burial ground over many times over the 14 years since I first became vice chair of the council. Basically, they've always said, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. We want to build houses around the back of the burial ground. And this council has always refused that blackmail. And that's what it is. Make no mistake, they've said, let us build houses, we'll give you some burial ground. Now, regarding open space, I joined this council nearly 19 years ago. At that time, this village, which was smaller than it is now, was insured 18 acres of open space for the public. Be that just for space to walk, to exercise, or for actual sport. That has got worse over the time. I don't deal with the hectares, so I'm afraid 27 hectares short now is beyond me. And regarding the number of years we've got left in the burial ground, that was done as a staff estimate a few years ago. And but the staff estimated how many years left we had. Not the office staff.
Sorry, could we just let Councillor Andreoli finish, and then Councillor Carson, you had your hand up anyway.
Councillor Carson was asking me which staff, and the answer is that there's the then current member of staff who did all the work for the burial ground.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Andrew. Councillor Carson, did you have anything?
So just to clarify then, the number of staff estimated that we've had, the number of years left that we've only been subtracting years off since then, and we end up with a figure of 5. And we don't talk to, I'm quite disappointed with that. So my comments are, I'm very concerned about the aspects of flooding in that land. I personally know that land to be very wet. The flood zone records for the parish show that the majority of that area, those fields, are in flood zone 2 and 3. There's an area in the sort of middle that is flood zone 1. I just don't know how we can be thinking that this is a good place for our burial ground. I also, this came into my discussion anonymously today. So I'm assuming it's from somebody here who knows where I live. So we already know that there is a chalk stream that runs through the bottom of the land, not the land that the parish council are proposing to purchase. Do you want to pass that around? What that hydrogeological survey from the British Geological Survey Society shows is that there is an intermittent stream that runs right through the very areas that the parish council is proposing to buy. And it's all information like this that makes the five council motion to rediscuss this in front of you really, really critical. I'm going to say, Chairman, I'm disappointed that certain councillors voted not to rediscuss.
Chair, we're allowed to vote how we choose.
Yeah.
You are indeed allowed to vote how you choose.
Councillor Carson, I think you should retract that.
That's very condescending of you, Councillor Carson.
So that document shows the intermittent stream from the hydrogeological survey. I don't believe that we have done any of the government required testing for burial grounds on this land, I am extremely concerned, as has also been mentioned elsewhere, that we will be spending a huge amount of money on a piece of land that does not subsequently become usable as a burial ground.
Are there any other councillors that wish to address or answer or comment regarding any of the public participation before we go to item 6 on the agenda? I'll take that as a no. So we'll move to item 6 on the agenda. Oh, sorry, Councillor Brown? Yeah. So let me just pass you the. Just passing the mic over to Councillor Brown. Just one second.
Sorry, I'm probably the favourite person in the room at the moment anyway, but you'll also be aware that we did drainage works in the burial ground within the last 5 years, which has sorted out flooding issues that are in the existing burial ground. The number of burials that we have remaining was done by the clerk of the committee, and it was worked out, yes, Councillor Carson, it was done by the clerk of the committee. Yeah, okay. And it was done on assessment on knowledge that she had at that period of time. It wasn't finger in the air, so it was actually a factual thing. So that would be all I'd like to say tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Brown. Okay, just any other final comments from councillors to? No, in that case, we'll excuse me. We'll move to item 6 then off the agenda for tonight. Before we move to item 6, I just want to finally close the public participation. I know I formally closed it, but just to thank every one of you for attending this evening. Appreciate a lot of emotion and feedback and comments in the room. And just to say thank you for your comments accordingly. The meeting has been recorded. Hopefully we've captured everything we've got accordingly. But if we, excuse me, Councillor Carson, we have recorded the meeting. Hopefully the recorder has picked up all the questions and comments, but ably assisted with Joe, the parish clerk, to hopefully we've scribed and caught all the questions and comments. And as it's a public meeting, the minutes will be available accordingly in due course. So thank you once again. Item 6 on the agenda is the land purchase. To rediscuss the land purchase and alternative source of funding for the works at DCC, Denmead Community Centre, should the SIL, Community Infrastructure Levy application, be unsuccessful. To discuss and consider action. That's the action on the councillors.
Chair, you need to speak into the microphone, not.
I thought I was, sorry. I beg your pardon. I'll read it again if you, sorry.
I heard you, but.
Did you, beg your pardon, sorry, Councillor Andrew Early. So land purchase item 6, to rediscuss the land purchase and alternative source of funding for the works at Denmead Community Centre should the Community Infrastructure Level SIL application be unsuccessful. To discuss and consider the action. Councillor Scully.
Yes,
I need to pass the mic. Sorry, Councillor Scully.
As discussed earlier, there is no urgency for works to be done at community centre for offices for the staff at all. The pavilion is perfectly okay at the moment, and so there's no desperate need to do anything. So therefore, borrowing the money for a project like this is within the scope of the council agreement, and we can always save the money up to do anything like new council offices, etc., which a lot of people think aren't necessary anyway. We've been partially one of them, I think. I think the council offices, new council offices, aren't particularly necessary because they're a very expensive item, they're expensive to run, and we haven't got the funds at the moment to build it, and there's no real need for it because the pavilion is quite adequate. Indeed, the pavilion in the first place was built as new council offices. and then it was sequestered for the youth club. And since then, it's been leased out to what's it? Daycare society, a daycare club, and so therefore we haven't been able to use it to its full extent. But we could, if necessary. At the moment, we get £12,000 a year from daycare for renting the pavilion, and they say, oh, well, we just need a daycare centre, etc., which is why we left them there. We're paying the Denmead Community Centre £10,000 a year for the use of the offices and that we're not using, so therefore the net income for Denmead Parish Council is zero, more or less. And basically, if we just sort of said, well, we need a pavilion for our own uses, we wouldn't need to build a new centre or new offices. We could just put the daycare centre out, which is a private company anyway. It's not being funded by the council as such, and none of the funds come to the council. It's a private enterprise run by a private person, and they make all the profits and they take all the profits for themselves. And we're just enabling them to do that. We could move them out of there and take the whole pavilion, the council offices, and that would solve that problem completely. But at the moment, we've been told that the daycare centre is important, and we would upset a lot of people in Denmead if we got rid of the daycare centre, which we listened to, and therefore we haven't done it. But it is a possibility, and it is something which I think would be a viable alternative. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scobie. Councillor Langford-Smith.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the aspect of the works at DCC, as I said, that is in the council strategy. And at the full council meeting last night, I recommended that we revisit the strategy. We don't know what DCC's plans are. They mentioned about the fact the parish council weren't going back there, but that's never been discussed at council. I think that discussion needs to be had. We need to revisit the strategy and work out what the plan is for DCC. Whether or not the staff are going back there. If they're not going back there, we may well not need to refurbish the offices, or it may be a different refurbishment, which may cost less. You could even turn it into a flat and they could rent out as an accommodation. So I think that aspect potentially needs to be looked at again. With regards to the land purchase, as I say, land doesn't come up very often for sale at an agricultural price, and I still believe that it is a good purchase. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Langford-Smith. And then just finally, I think, unless there's any other, Councillor Carson, and then the last floor.
So the money in the old school fund, the community centre, is approximately 190,000, and that is being used in conjunction with the correctly, prudently put aside money for legitimate purchase of burial ground. So the funds are being combined, and it's okay because we will put, when we get the sill, we will put back the money into the community building pot. So everything's back even. I don't feel that is okay, because if we hadn't used the community building fund to buy the land, that sill, that additional 200,000 or whatever it will be, would actually have been available for other projects in the village, such as replacing the skate park for our young, but for new projects, not just putting the money back into a fund that we've raided to buy the land. That's my feeling.
I'd just like to come back on that. The application for £200,000 of sill was towards burial ground. Because it won't come through before April, and the next April, because of the way it works, we're basically looking to use the fund for the DCC extension and replace it when the sill comes through. That sill application was for burial ground. And if it doesn't go towards that, then they may not actually they may want it back because that was not, so we can't use it to put in a replacement skate park or anything else because we applied for it for burial ground.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Angeloni. Just unless anyone else wishes, unless there's another comment.
Thank you, Chris. Just to say, there is an application in with the Rural Communities Fund for £20,000 to replace the skate ramp that needs most replacing. It's not end of life, it's just not used very much, so I have put an application in for that. We have just refurbished all of the ramps that needed refurbishing, so again, that they're good for at least another 5 years, and a new skate park will not attract community infrastructure levy funding. They're very specific on what you can apply for, and they looked into burial ground and did find that you can apply for burial ground for community infrastructure levy. They will not fund a skate park because we have one already, and it has to be the new facilities. I can see County Councillors nodding.
Councillor Scoley and then Councillor Carson.
Several years ago, I did a calculation, and that was that every time we get SIL money, we're obliged to put in new playgrounds or facilities for children, etc. And because of that, we've got lots of playgrounds all around Denmead. And I did an exercise where I added up how much all the swings and all the facilities in those playgrounds actually cost us. And it was in the order of £390,000, working on the basis that possibly 10% of that would need repairing every year, and it's worked out more or less that way to some extent. That means we would need to put £39,000 a year on the base for people just to repair all of the swings and things that we've got around the village. And if we put more of those in, we'll need even more to repair it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to be sensible and say, well, how many parks do we need for children, and how many swings do we need for children? And the answer is, I think we've got enough already, and they're costing us enough anyway. So that's my point.
Thank you, Councillor Scoley. Councillor Carson.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm a little bit concerned, and I don't think we can have an answer to this, but so the SIL application has gone against the burial ground.
Absolutely.
However, we're using the SIL money to top up the community building fund, and that might be rejected because we're not using it to buy burial ground. We already bought it. I feel that's a risk factor. And the other aspect is that indeed, because we're looking at the budgeting and everything for the next year, and I am keen on the concept, and we discussed it with full council, and indeed Councillors Clay and Stallard have been doing a study of local skate parks and so on, and they have come back with some reports that we're to hear at full council. I am aware that if we asked for SIL for a skate park, Councillor Lancaster is 100% correct, we would not get it because we already have one. However, times have moved on since you had a basic skate park. Now you have something called what, Councillor Clay? A pump track, which we might well get. What's a pump track? BMX and so on, which we may well get SIL for. So I just wanted to say that. However, Chairman, I do have a proposal if we're ready to move. Sorry, Councillor.
I think there's one more councillor, I think, and then we'll move to. Thank you. Councillor Nathan Smith, and then.
Thank you, Chair. Just one last point of clarification. When I was speaking with Winchester, with County Councillor Stallard, Winchester actually suggested that we took out a bridging loan until the money came in from SIL. However, when I mentioned that to the RFO, sorry, Responsible Financial Officer, She advised that what we would do would be environment from the Community Buildings Fund, and we just are aware of that. So what it seems the vote is coming down to this evening is a skate park or a burial ground with public open space.
Council.
Order, please, public.
Excuse me, Chair.
Sorry.
I'm having threats from a member of the public here.
Oh. Okay, can we ensure that we, just say the cool and calm?
Sorry. Civility and respect applies not just to the councillors, but also to the public, please. We're getting to the very end of the agenda. We've heard a lot of feedback about the public participation. We're in the final discussions regarding item 6, the land purchase. Let's continue in a civil and a respectful way for all. Thank you.
Okay, Chairman, as I was saying, I'd like to make a proposal to full council. I propose the parish council withdraws from the land purchase and that the chairman and vice chairman have delegated authorities to engage with all relevant bodies regarding the land purchase, and that matters relating to sources of funding for the community centre be deferred to the next full council where a full status and due discussion, the current position is discussed and the next steps agreed. I'll repeat that because there's a lot of words. Shall I slow down?
Please.
I propose the parish council withdraws from the land purchase and that the chairman and vice chairman have delegated authority to engage with all relevant bodies regarding the land purchase, and that matters relating to the sources of funding for the community centre be deferred to the next full council where a full status of the current position is discussed and next steps agreed.
Thank you for the proposal.
I second that proposal.
I think there's a Councillor Langford Smith had a hand just for a second. Sorry, Councillor Vickers.
Sorry, can I just ask for clarification on what all relevant bodies means so that we know exactly what we're voting for? Thank you. Of course.
I mean by all relevant bodies, I would mean the legal representatives. So, for instance, if it was necessary to talk to solicitors or the land agent, obviously the chairman would need to liaise with the clerk to understand who he would need to speak to if necessary. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Sorry, we've done that.
Can we take a vote on the proposal?
So
who are you liaising with that's different from what we've liaised with?
So I think Councillor Langford Smith's question is quite specific, Carson.
Okay, so I'll give a very specific answer. The proposal says we withdraw. That will mean that there will need to be a communication immediately with whoever the relevant body is, whether that's contacting the land agent or solicitor to say that we are withdrawing from the purchase. Right? So the clerk already has delegated authority, and I'm just requesting that also the chairman and the vice chairman share that delegated authority. Does that answer your question, Councillor Smith?
Yes, I think so. You have that authority anyway, Chair.
So,
okay, my proposal stands as is.
So,
I second that proposal.
There was sorry, Councillor Vickers, there was a hand up just before you seconded it. So, Councillor Andrelli, do I need to pass you the mic, or have you done?
Well, I've been told I have a loud voice, but I believe I hear what the proposal is. I believe it should be in at least two parts. One, to recommend that we don't go ahead with the land purchase, and then the rest of it as a separate proposal, because I think the most important bit is the what we can do going ahead with the land purchase.
I don't disagree with you, Councillor Andrelli. However, I worded it such because that is the exact wording, and that is the wording of the motion that we discuss the land purchase and the alternative sources of funding. So my proposal covers both those aspects. And it might be really best.
My point was, I think it should be two different proposals.
So we have the one proposal. Do we have any? Sorry.
It stands as it is.
So the proposal that stood, just for one last time, could you please read that? Because I think we've lost a little bit of track. Sorry, please. Just to be clear, because it's an important topic.
Okay, so to repeat the proposal, I propose the parish council withdraws from the land purchase and that the chairman and vice chairman have delegated authority to engage with all relevant bodies regarding the land purchase, and that matters relating to sources of funding for the community centre be deferred to the next full council, where a full status of the current position is discussed and next steps agreed, and that has already been seconded.
Thank you. So, did I hear that second?
I second that proposal.
So we have a proposal and we have a second from Councillor Vickers. Can I have a show of hands, please? All those in favour of the proposal that was made, please, a show of hands. Those in favour? This is a recorded vote, by the way, so just to recap. All those in favour? And those against, please? I think that means there's no abstention. Thank you very much indeed. That means that the meeting is now closed. Thank you once again for your time and your contributions. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Last time.